Hi, OJ. I was the daughter every Christian parent prayed for. Obedient, pure, on fire for God. I grew up in the church, slept under the sound of hymns, and lived by the word. They said I was marked for greatness, that I would marry a mighty man of God, that my purity was part of my destiny. But one night, just one night, changed everything. I was walking home from a gospel concert alone when a car pulled up beside me. Two men stepped out. One of them smiled, and that smile still haunts me. That night, he took more than just my phone. He took my innocence. He took my voice. He left me bleeding and afraid. Weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. And just like that, the world that once applauded me turned its back. My father wouldn't look at me. My church went quiet, and I stopped praying. 5 years passed, and then I saw him again. The man who raped me, standing on the pulpit, wearing a suit, preaching salvation. And what happened next? Even I still struggle to believe it. This is my story. Today, I add mine, not for attention, not for pity, but in the prayer that someone somewhere will find hope in my wound. I was raised in a deeply Christian home here in Ghana, not just by name, but by spirit. My father, a respected elder in our church, shaped our household like a potter shapes a clay. There was no room for rebellion, no tolerance for worldly distraction. Every sunrise was prayer, every step measured by scripture. My siblings and I breathed church, lived church, dreamt of heaven's gates. I, particularly, was the example, the daughter everyone pointed at when they said, train up a child in a way they should go. I led a youth ministry. I quoted scriptures with fire. I was the girl others wished to emulate. Even during our 5-day conventions, I was often called to the altar, prophesied over, prayed for. One prophet once declared before the entire congregation that if I remained pure and obedient, God would reward me by giving me a marriage to a mighty man of God. Stay pure, he said, for your body is a vessel for greatness. And so I carried that prophecy like a crown. My friends admired me, envied me even, but they didn't know the weight of being an example. They didn't know the burden of always having to be the spotlight. Then came the night that broke everything. There was a musical concert at the National Theatre, a powerful Christian gathering. My friends and I decided to attend. As always, I informed my parents and received their blessing. My younger sister was ill that day, so she stayed behind. The concert was divine. Praise lifted the heavens, and for hours I felt closer to God than ever before. When it ended, my friends asked me to sleep over, but I declined. My sister was sick. I needed to be home, so I walked. It was late, but I had walked that road before. I felt no fear until a car slowed beside me. Two men stepped out. The moment their eyes met mine, I knew something was wrong. They were not mere thieves. They carried darkness in their eyes. One of them demanded my belongings. I gave him my iPhone, but that wasn't enough. He called to the other by the car. Then he told me to come closer. I froze. I thought of running, but something in me knew if I ran, I would never return. So I obeyed. They forced me into the car. One of them held me down in the back seat. He did the unthinkable. OJ, I was a virgin. I had saved myself, not just for marriage, but for the destiny I believed was sacred. But that night, my purity was torn from me like a cloth in a storm. After he was done, he told me to leave. I walked home like a ghost. That night, I scrubbed my body till my skin bled. I didn't sleep. I couldn't pray. I cried. I told no one. Weeks passed. Then came the sickness. My mother took me to the hospital, and that was when I heard the second blow. I was pregnant. I broke down. My mother also broke down. She didn't say anything at first, but on my way home, her tears were silent daggers. She asked how I could shame the family like that. I couldn't tell her. Not then. Later, I summoned the courage. I told her everything. She cried harder when she finally told my father, the man who once prayed over me every night. He stood, turned his face, and walked away. He never spoke to me again. His silence was worse than an insult. My mother begged him. I begged him. He refused. He said I had brought shame to his name and that everyone in the church would ask questions. He asked me to leave the house and stay with my grandparents until the pregnancy passed. So I went. And when I left, I took more than clothes. I took pain, silence, confusion, and a breaking faith. I stopped going to church. I stopped praying. I stopped believing. I told myself, if this is God's plan, I want no part of it. I still gave birth to a boy, a beautiful, quiet boy. And still, I told no one about the father. Not my church, not my community, not even my child. For 5 years, I lived in that silence. Then one day, my younger sister came to visit. She was helping organize a gospel program and invited me. Out of curiosity, I accepted. I attended, but I wasn't there for God. I was there for her. Near to the end of the program, a pastor was introduced to give a closing remark. I stepped out briefly, but as he began speaking, something in my voice struck me like thunder. I returned, and there he stood, the man who raped me. My world spun. He was on stage, telling his story, not hiding it, but testifying of how God changed him. He even spoke of that night, the very night he planted the seed in me. OJ, I fled. He wept as he confessed how he used to rob, how he had even taken lives. Then he told the story, my story, word for word. He described how he raped a girl one night in a car. He said she left behind a small prayer diary. When he held it up, I gasped. It was mine. My grandmother walked forward. She demanded to speak. She told the church, that book belonged to my granddaughter. And the girl you raped, she's here. The room fell silent. The pastor fell on his knees. In the pastor's office, I was introduced. He cried uncontrollably and asked for forgiveness. His senior pastor asked, and the child, what happened? My grandmother told him everything. The pastor then said something that shook me. He said, God showed me in a dream that the woman who carries my first child will become my wife. And through our union, my ministry will flourish and her family will be blessed. It was a turning point, OJ, a strange one, a confusing one, but a divine one. That man, that man who once hurt me, is now my husband. And our ministry, it is thriving. I know this is hard to understand, OJ. I didn't believe it myself. But God truly works in ways beyond our comprehension. What was once my greatest shame became my testimony. I no longer carry that old pain. I carry peace. I carry purpose. And I carry a message. Even in our darkest hour, God is still writing. Thank you, OJ, for giving me the space to speak. If even one person finds healing in these words, then my journey was not in vain. This is your anonymous OJ, and if you are new here, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and tell somebody about your anonymous OJ. I'll see you in our next confession.